Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're cracking open a literary masterpiece you thought you knew, and we're going to reveal a hidden key that pretty much changes everything. For about a century now, T.S. Eliot's The Wasteland has been held up as the ultimate symbol of Western collapse. Well, we're here to challenge that idea head-on. We're going to show you a secret key to understanding this poem, and it's one that lies thousands of miles and thousands of years away from post-war Europe.
Okay, so let's start with the poem most of us met in school. Published way back in 1922, The Wasteland is famous for being, well, really difficult and broken up, right? It was seen as the perfect mirror for the disillusionment that swept through Europe after World War I.
So yeah, the standard take is that it's a monument to crisis. It's like a literary junkyard built from all the broken pieces of Western culture, a poem about a world that's lost its faith, its meaning, its hope. But what if that's only half the story? What if all that despair isn't the final word, but actually just the starting point?
You see, the key to unlocking this poem isn't just buried in all those complicated references. It's found in the poet's own personal journey, years before he even wrote a single line of it. And this wasn't some casual interest in the exotic. No, this was a deep, academic, and really personal quest.
So before he was a world-famous poet, Eliot was a serious scholar at Harvard. Starting around 1911, he just dove headfirst into Indian philosophy. He was learning ancient languages like Sanskrit so he could read the foundational texts of Hinduism and Buddhism directly from the source. This was no survey course. This was a total scholarly immersion.
And then you see a quote like this from his friend, the poet Stephen Spender, and it's just stunning. Think about that for a second. The man who wrote the great poem of Western despair was, at that very moment, seriously thinking about converting to an Eastern faith. This totally reframes the whole poem. It's not just a portrait of nihilism. It's a personal search for a way out of suffering.
So, how did all this Eastern wisdom actually make its way into the poem? Well, let's look at how Eliot diagnoses the sickness of the modern world. Turns out he borrows his main diagnostic tool directly from the Buddha.
Eliot titles the entire third section of his poem The Fire Sermon. That's a direct reference to a core teaching in Buddhism. The Buddha taught that our senses, our thoughts, our feelings, they're all on fire. They're burning with this flame of selfish craving and delusion. And for Eliot, this ancient idea was the perfect way to describe the empty, frantic burnout of modern life.
Now here's where it gets really brilliant. Eliot masterfully fuses these two worlds. He ends his Fire Sermon section by quoting the Christian saint Augustine, talking about his own youth as a cauldron of burning. So he puts the Buddha and the saint right next to each other, both using this metaphor of fire. Eliot is making this incredible point. This destructive fire, it's not a modern problem or a Western problem. It's a universal human condition.
Okay, so if the Buddhist fire is the diagnosis, where does Eliot find the prescription, the cure? Well, he doesn't find it in the West. He finds it in an ancient Hindu fable from the Upanishads, and that's why the final section of the poem is called What the Thunder Said.
So in this fable, you have the creator, Prajapati, who speaks a single syllable, just da, to his 3 different groups of children. And each group hears a totally different command, one that's perfectly tailored to their biggest weakness. The indulgent gods, they hear the commands to control. The greedy humans hear give, and the cruel demons hear be compassionate. The thunder is essentially repeating this universal lesson for all of us.
But watch this. This is the key. Eliot takes these 3 divine commands, and he deliberately rearranges them. He puts datta, give, first. That's about surrendering the self. Then dayadvam, sympathize, connecting with other people. But he saves the most important command for last, damyata, control. For the chaotic, impulsive modern soul, Eliot is saying that self-discipline is the final and most crucial virtue.
So this Eastern prescription, it's all building towards the poem's climax. It's iconic, and for many, many decades, completely misunderstood final line.
For years, a lot of Western critics just saw this as a sign of collapse. They thought the poet was just giving up, kind of mumbling some incomprehensible foreign word. They saw it as an ironic, empty gesture. Oh man, they could not have been more wrong.
In reality, Shantih is one of the most powerful and profound words in Hindu scriptures. It is a sacred mantra, and repeating it 3 times isn't random. It's a specific, formal prayer for a complete and total peace. Peace from our own internal suffering, peace from the forces up above, and peace from the world around us. It literally transforms the poem from a picture of chaos into a prayer for order.
So let's put all the pieces together.
The crucial point here is this. The Indian philosophy in the wasteland isn't just some exotic decoration. It is the poem's spiritual architecture. It's the scaffolding holding the whole thing up.
This really brings the whole journey into focus, doesn't it? The diagnosis of our spiritual sickness, that comes from Buddhism. The prescription for how to heal, it comes directly from an Upanishadic fable. And the final resolution, a Vedic mantra for peace. Suddenly, the poem is transformed from a monument of Western decay into one of the first truly global works of literature. And knowing this doesn't just change how we read a 100-year-old poem. It forces us to ask a much bigger question. In our own search for meaning in this complex world, what other ancient keys, what other kinds of global wisdom might we be leaving completely undiscovered?